He's a support player, he's the captain, but he's also this insane Widowmaker, so maybe later on we will see that. Or maybe he wants to bring it out a little early, we'll see.
Maybe we see it straight away. I do find that doubtful, but oh hey, look at that. Shui cooks like a pro.
And it's interesting he's the youngest player, because previously that was actually Kiyomi, so he's no longer the youngest one in there. Shui from Korea.
And a team that well, knows how to play with those younger players as well. So there's a bit of a factor of that, but in any case, it all just gets tested on the day, as we all know. And out the gate, I'm kind of liking this Junkrat here. We've actually seen the Junkrat Sombra combo go off to pretty phenomenal effect, specifically on this map.
And I think Machi were kind of preparing for Bazaar to potentially come in with tanks as well. Big, heavy tanks like a Reinhardt to contest that early point. Bazaar, though, they have their own Junkrat, they have their own McCree, which, by the way, they had to go back and change, so early camp does, of course, go over to Machi.
Yeah, that means they did end up dropping their Sombra as well, but I do like this patience here out of Bazaar. They're just looking to kind of slowly siege out this point, hopefully get a pick out, and ideally not let Machi do the same to them too much, and sort of playing on this high ground is helping with that. But it's also taking a lot of time. They haven't really found the way in, and this whole time Kant is slowly building up that charge, but so is Nutsuru-sama.
Still, Bazaar's kind of, they're waiting in the wings right now, still looking for an opening, still waiting for the spam damage to come through, and it kind of has.
There it is.
Nutsuru-sama, he's got himself a kill, he also has a Riptire.
Finally getting it all through, and they know that that means they can just press the go button, not even needing to commit the Riptire actually, and in fact not committing any of their ultimates, and you got to say that's a little rough for Machi, holding the point for that long, keeping Bazaar out. Bazaar had to wait for so long just to be ready to fight, and actually Machi weren't able to use that same time to charge up their ultimates.
Let's look at the difference between the spam damage while Shui still waiting to get his first Riptire. The reason he's so far behind is the fact that Nutsuru-sama was spamming from the outside in the small enclosed space on the point itself. The other way around, Shui is on the point trying to spam outwards. You're not going to get the same amount of damage output. It was only a matter of time before Bumburapa breaks through the gates. And with Nutsuru-sama, that is on the Junkrat, and the Bazaar players just get to roll on in after they find the picks.
And that's the thing, I really like the positioning out of Bazaar there, and actually the patience to go with that as well, to recognize they've got the ground, we don't have the right team comp to take it off them, let's go ahead and get that right team comp set up, and let's take our time with this, let's do it right. And it's already sort of paying off. This could be the big swing factor though, because we see Cat now coming in with that EMP.
And this is going to be so important. 6 ultimates available for Bazaar. Nutsuru-sama didn't get to use his Riptire last time, and it comes out now.
Just looking for the targets, but he himself is getting low. That causes the Transcendence to come out, and the Riptide goes down, but they're off to a good start. Drop Judo and Deadeye to catch Shui as well. The trade back is there, but the Res just comes straight in anyway, and Bazaar kind of holding on to that one without too much difficulty. 3 ultimates for none, but you'll take it.
You saw the difficulty out there from Cantazon. The reason you will take it is you didn't lose anything to EMP, and you did use ultimates to win fights. That is what is important. Cant this time around, he can't be the one that translocates backwards early. He has to translocate inwards. He has to find the EMP, and they got to get this win.
They've already got Shui's Tyler, so they can't quite combo those two together. Cant's still looking for an EMP angle. Bazaar are not biting. Sadistic, though, in the mix did get caught by that EMP that finally went out, and D-Crown trying to capitalize on Nutsuru-sama in a bit too thick there. And Bazaar just slowly getting picked apart here by the looks of it. Bumburapa not quite able to get these closeouts. And I like this movement by Machi. They're just kind of hovering off to the side. They're not playing on the point just yet, but now it's starting to go sour. The resin on Sadistic, it's kind of changed the tune of this fight altogether, and Machi not quite capitalizing on what they had set up in time. Maybe not respecting the res because they had just seen it recently on Pichu.
And now this is where you see the misfires come out of Machi, and they don't have any more space for misfires. The EMP cannot fail again. They might not get another EMP at this rate. We're into the high 90s now, and this is where it really counts. Bazaar, they're set to go. Transcendence nearly up, and for Machi, they have to go now.
Yeah, I mean, you can expect the Transcendence to come out from panties in a moment. Nice way to block the Deadeye, but it's not going to save Kant and D-Crown as well. Tire out from Nutsuru-sama. Doesn't even need it. Machi were not quite on the point there. That's Bazaar. The patience just paying off.
Actually, we're seeing many times now teams that initially go to the point onto village, scout out the enemy's attack plan, whatever that is. This time around for Machi, it was we're going to run a Reinhardt. It will have a Junkrat and Sombra support in order to counter another similar kind of composition. A lot of teams going Reaper, Reinhardt, Zaya.
Yeah.
But Bazaar, they looked at they said, Okay, let's go back to spawn, change up compositions, come back with our own Junkrat, a Riptire, while Shui was kind of barely even halfway there. This is now what we're seeing, a lot of the adaptations where teams are saying, we will give up the first cap, but we will come in and then we will win.
And that's the thing, I mean, you can afford to give it up when you have a defense like that, and the thing I really like about it, actually, it's not just the patience, it's the discipline as well. But Sanctum is not a place we see as much there, but it is a place we've started seeing a lot more of this Pharaoh that Shui is going to be pulling out straight away. Bazaar do have the hit scan available, but already Shui just kind of putting the hurt on, kind of has the backside of Natsuru-sama, who is really taking a hurting, and no one's quite putting the damage back onto Shui. Unfortunately, Bazaar a little bit split up here due to the Pharaoh.
Well, it's the air rat versus the ground rat, and it's going to be Bazaar kind of claiming first blood there onto Judo. Shui still needing to find a bit more damage. They're ignoring him, and they're cleaning up the members on the ground.
And this is really smart. The easy way to deal with a Pharaoh in a way is play the ground game. Pharaoh's not on the ground. If you can get into those covered positions, which they were just barely able to do with that spam damage combo of Bumbarapa and Natsuru-sama, you can get the damage out and get the kills in, and it was just enough to eliminate Machi's ground control, and that's what's allowed Bazaar to get this cap. Bazaar
now have the type of composition where they can hold onto this cap reasonably comfortably, I would even be able to say. Shui has to find his way out, doesn't get spawn camp. Bazaar giving the respect over to Machi, but the rocket barrage kept coming into effect here.
Yeah, Sadistic tried to get into position to block it out, but unfortunately not quite quick enough. They're just going to have to let this one go the way of Machi, methinks. And indeed, at 25%, actually holding on for just that little bit longer, maybe able to get it up to about 30, but that is a pretty convincing fight win for Machi, and ultimately a pretty cheap one too.
Bazaar probably needed to hold a little bit closer up. They gave too much respect to Machi Esports. And the issue here is you're going up against a Pharaoh. When you go up against a Pharaoh, if they get caught in this room where Bumparapa is now, you can easily stop that Pharaoh from doing anything. You can outspam them with Natsuru-sama's Junkrat as well. Do not let the Pharaoh get free reign outside.
Now, oh, stick on Natsuru-sama, just going to shut the door on that one. I mean, that's a really cheap way to go about it, right? Just off the back of that alone, Machi should be able to just push the ultimate percentage further up, get the other ultimates they need, just, you know, charged up, get them ready, because they know Bazaar are coming in with some sick combos.
Bazaar, sick combos already in hand, but they got to commit now. They got to execute. They are losing percentage charge. They were ahead of Machi. Now they are running behind. They're not too far behind, and the Nano Visor to start things up.
Yeah, Pichu ran right into a position where he kind of knew Kant was there. He was able to demech Judo, but Zobi ended up getting flanked out. They hadn't actually dealt with Kant. That was really dangerous, and instantly Pichu got pushed out, and now Bazaar just on the back foot as the Transcendence has already run out for them now. Natsuru-sama gets picked off, and Machi can just go back in with a dive here, kind of separate these members and take them out one by one. Bazaar maybe need to call a retreat. In fact, maybe should have called a retreat about 5 seconds ago.
And the issue for Bazaar now is they've called a retreat. They've used the ultimates, but they have not gotten percentage points. They did not even really get any kills in return. They couldn't get those trades in. A Nano Visor that was very quickly shut down by Machi. They saw the win condition from the other side, and they dealt with it swiftly. Diva right in there. D-Crown as the Winston following him as well.
Ooh, this time the bomb not quite catching what he was looking for, and that means Natsuru-sama can throw out a tie, but
Shui down.
Bird off it. Yeah, Shui is down, but so is Natsuru-sama. Bumbarapa trying to get the corner trap here on Judo. Will probably force out the self-destruct, which is at least something. Needs to be able to get out of it. Silence is able to get out, but Bazaar still kind of struggling to push on the point in earnest here as Machi crossing into that 99%. Bazaar still just not quite closing out these kills. Rocket Barrage going to be available for Shui as he re-enters the fray. Just has to wait out the self-destruct and now can get the presence on the point. Going straight in for it, looking for the backliners. Dead on top of Pichu. Half second too slow, but Judo was there for the cleanup anyway. And not quite able to get these supports. It's not quite converted for Shui. Didn't want to press that go button when he had Pichu in his sights, and that second's hesitation has cost him the point.
And unfortunately, not enough kills of the barrage, right? Not enough value out of that barrage. And for Bazaar, I would like to think even if the Valkyrie wasn't enough, Panties had the Transcendence available was as well. The staying power was certainly there for Bazaar. Now they've got additional ultimates, including that Transcendence that they did not use earlier. Sure, they have some percentage points to catch up on, but now they have the tools to do so.
This is the other Shui special, the Genji, and I'm expecting good things out of it. Genshui, and already canned a little bit wide on the pulse bomb, but they've got this brief window before Bazaar's ultimates come up. They have to capitalize, but they've maybe been a fraction of a second too slow because there's the Transcendence from Panties. Pichu open in with the tactical visor. Judo's already down. They don't have the defense matrix to block it. Catches Restia, and Machi just find themselves piled into this kill box on the point. Very late catch on Pichu is something, but by the time Machi have reset, Pichu's going to be back here anyway.
And this is the last time Machi can afford a failed fight. It's already at 80% now. We're in the final fight zone. Indeed, for both teams, it's 99 for Machi as well. They just need to win one, but this one seems to be slipping through their fingers right now. Pichu now swapping onto the Genji as well, and quickly dying for it.
And the Pulse Bomb connect. I was going to say the Pulse Bomb has to convert on this. It's the only tool advantage they have, and they've made it pay off. And now Machi, they've even got, in the nick of time, a Primal Rage, and they've still got that Dragon Blade to close it out if Bazaar can really mount a significantly dangerous defense, but that is not looking to be the case. Bumbarapa just trying to get some monkey toes on the point. There's the Dragon Blade to help shut him out, and indeed the rest of these members as Pichu to fall as well. Bazaar just kind of throwing bodies on the point because, hey, you may as well, but this is too well controlled by Machi for them to quite get back in on it. Machi, off the back of this, is going to even up the map score.
And those early 2 picks from Machi were so critical, as Pichu going down early. Panties to follow as well. This is just 2 extra kills that Bazaar could not afford to lose at all. The 6 versus 4 when there were already not enough ultimates on the Bazaar side to swing things back around. Certainly not enough to cover for missing 2 players when one of them is your DPS, when one of them has been a pretty big factor in your victory so far. Pichu even changing onto the Genji might have been a little bit of, I would even consider a mistake here. He was doing a fine job on Soldier. The visors, at least the second one, was hitting. They were able to get him off, but this time around, unfortunately, for Bazaar, we're going to a map 3, but fortunately for Machi, keeping it interesting, it's got to be Shrine.
Just out the gate, and this is the one we've kind of come to know and love. I think the key point of difference here is going to be the lack of Zarya on the side of Bazaar. Not quite going for the full-on shield composition here, and Machi kind of well established here. Judo, tons of charge in the pocket. They've already taken down that frontmost shield, so Bazaar just kind of having to flag a full retreat there. They do get out with only losing Natsuru-sama, but they do also lose the points in that, and it looks like they may go for a bit of a lineup change here as well.
Same time though, and yes, correct on the lineup change, Pichu has gone onto the Tracer at the same time. The cap has only just gone over. They shouldn't sacrifice too much percentage points here as they get right back into the action.
Just try to get on top of the point as quickly as they can, but they've still got to contest with all that charge that Judo's got, but they get the flank of Kiyomi and a very early coalescence from Panties. In fact, beating out his counterpart in that regard. Judo, though, holding on to this grab, looking to use it to turn the fight back around because Bazaar not quite getting the closeouts that they need. Finally getting decrowned. Shui is low. The hack onto Judo means no graviton. This is a window for Bazaar, but they need to get the closeouts. They did get Shui. Judo's still got the ultimate and may even want to commit it. In fact, he will because they've still got Kant in the mix. They've still got lots of damage on Judo. Nicely done by Machi and not quite quickly closed out enough by Bazaar.
And they just needed to survive slightly long enough for Natsuru-sama's EMP to come out. That would have shut down both Judo's Graviton Surge and also his shield, allowing him to finally get killed. He was on 100 energy still though. 75 is pretty good. When he did drop the grab, so much damage individually even from him coming down. Now the rest of the ultimates available for Machi, this EMP from Natsuru-sama is going to be more important than ever.
It's got to really connect and connect well. Sound barrier in straight away. They do catch Pichu, but he trades 1 for 1 and takes the Earth Shatter off the board. The connect is there from Natsuru-sama, but the follow-up is not. And now the Death Blossom, they just have to keep their distance here. Bazaar still trying to find an angle back in on this one, but dead can't means no EMP and indeed a window. They need to close it before D-Crown comes back into the fray. Again, Bazaar, they have to capitalize now. But no, too late. The Earth Shatter is in. They've also got the grab, but they don't even need it because Shui is just hammering these people away. 4K for him.
Shui's cleaning up the kills, and Judo's doing, I would say, a lot of the legwork as well. The man is back onto another Graviton Surge. Not only that, but he has pretty much not died. So many resources being pulled into just trying to kill Judo. Panties tried to coalescence him, couldn't take him down into the overtime. Grab already out. Straight into it, which means no one can touch the point. EMP layered on top of it, and it all falls down for Bazaar. That is so unfortunate for them, but Machi, you have got to respect the control on that
that defense and constantly outlasting Bazaar, who never quite closed out the successful fights quick enough. Machi were always able to rally.
And we're back to square one with Bazaar. Unfortunately, right in the pre-game it was mentioned, this is a team that so far has unfortunately not shown the capability to close out a game. They just get so close. They won Village in a pretty astounding fashion, I have to add as well. Going on to Sanctum, this was very much their map to win. In the final moments, losing those two members cost them that entire stage. Now coming into map 3, which was on Shrine, that was pretty much just all Machi by then.
Yeah.
The momentum for Bazaar is kind of like negative momentum. It's reverse momentum.
Yeah.
They start out so strong and then they taper off.
And they themselves were just talking about how they kind of struggle a little bit once they're in that position. So we need to see now if that is still the case for them, or if it's something that they've been able to work on, because they are now 0-1 down in the series. They do get the next map pick, so maybe there's kind of wiggle room for them there, and you'd certainly hope that they can at least have a competitive performance. My mind goes back to that infamous almost Numbani showing that they had. That, I mean, they just kind of pulled it all out of nowhere, but repeating that, first of all, it's hard enough, and second of all, you've still actually got to close out the map in so doing.
Yeah, but that was the one map they did get against Talon in that series, right? They ended in a 1-3. In fact, they've ended 2 series 1-3. This could be another one of those 1-3 games or matches for Bazaar, but they don't want to end that way. They need to hold on to number 4, but so do Machi. And right now, Machi have proven that they have what it takes, at least after map 1, to be able to close out that map. Bazaar, they're falling into the same pitfalls, and the one time we've seen the momentum go their way was on that one map against Talent, but right now, this is not Talent.
And again, you do actually have to compliment the defense they pulled out on Village once they had the point, because you can almost look at that as being like effectively a 100-0, because the first time they actually fought Machi, they won the fight. The reason Machi had 40% is because Bazaar had the wrong team comp for that fight, recognized it, went and changed off. Once they had control of the point as well, they did to Machi what Machi did to them just now on Shrine, where they were constantly shutting down the win condition. They were constantly just kind of outlasting in the fights, keeping the relevant things, well, the relevant members alive for crucial ultimates to come up to kind of close things out. So you can kind of see how evenly matched these two teams theoretically are, and I think nowhere is that better reflected than on Sanctum, which was that 99-99. So, I mean, 1-0 to Machi, sure, but I still see this really being a tight series, and I could have easily seen that being a 2-0 closeout for that first map in favor of Bazaar.
Exactly, and I feel like now going into map number 2, which should be coming up very shortly, this is the opportunity again, because on Thursday evening, all the matches we kind of had this strange storyline to it, which was Nepal was always, you know, it was always quite close, and then we got to map 2, which was for that evening pretty much Hollywood. It kind of fell apart, usually for one team, but it wasn't always consistent on what team that was. Mostly it was for the team that had already been losing that first map, but at the same time, you kind of mentioned this, Bazaar could have won Nepal 2-0, coming into either Hollywood or Numbani now. That still holds true. They could still just get a pretty decent win out here, because we've seen them kind of show pieces of that.
Yeah, closeness notwithstanding, exactly. But I also kind of have to speak to the other side of that and kind of relate what we've seen so far to actually the Machi Hong Kong Attitude series. And the reason I say that is because I can actually still see this being one that goes the full 5, provided neither of the teams just sort of suddenly start to crumble. And that is, I think, in opposition to how the Hong Kong Attitude series went, I think that's a real potential here. I think that's a real threat, in fact, specifically for Bazaar. Again, we go back to what they were just talking about before the match of, you know, they do struggle a bit when they've lost that first game. So this is where we need to see how much they've learned about having that kind of that competitive mentality and kind of keeping it together as a team. And indeed, it is going to be going to Hollywood.
And we'll see if, I don't want to say the curse, but even the prophecy of Hollywood does continue, which goes on to say one team will dominate extremely hard on this map. Now, it could also be that no team dominates extremely hard. You'd like to maybe even see both teams go to the time bank here, complete the map in full. We've seen good offenses, we've seen good defenses from both sides now, a variety of different compositions as well, a variety of, I guess, timings in terms of when teams decide, look, we actually want to be able to change here, adaptations to say midway through the game, this composition is going to be better.
And I think that's actually something we've seen a little bit out of both of these teams already so far, and it's something that I've actually been quite pleased about. And again, nowhere did we see it more than on Sanctum. We've seen constant adaptation, constantly updating what you were doing. I think it's a lot more pronounced now that we see quite a variety of team comps for different maps and in different situations, but this kind of arms race of adaptation between the two teams proves to be, I think, a really defining piece of how Sanctum played out. You know, we even saw like Shui, who had so dominated the opening skirmish, change onto something later on when it wasn't working. I like that both of the teams had the discipline to do that. But I think also there's the risk of doing that and just being behind the 8-ball, and that's a much more significant risk on these payload maps than it is on Control.
Because when you do see a composition like the one that Bazaar pulled out on Village and they stuck to it and they won with it, that's ideal, right? That's exactly what you would like to see instead. But now going into Hollywood, Panties already hovering even on the Widowmaker.
Well, it'll be hollering with, you know, via bullet.
Yeah. Hello.
Look this way, boom.
Might not see that on point A. Maybe you'll see that on point A. Still a lot of options for this team, and it's one of those interesting things. But Panties keeps telling himself to not buy more shoes. Still, he buys them anyways.
That's a very confronting thing for him to admit, I think. That he has an incurable addiction to shoe shopping.
Me, I should save money. Also me, buy more shoes.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Bazaar's opening attack, though. No Widowmaker shenanigans, but it is the Sombra coming out in Natsuru-sama again. Perhaps going to need to rely on the EMP because it is a big tanky lineup with a lot of spam damage on Machi.
And then you hook Boom Barappa and he's dead before he can pull out. So now Bazaar just kind of have to bide their time, wait for the tank to rejoin, and it just kind of gives Machi more time to charge up these ultimates, notably the Riptire.
So hard to dodge this hook as well, this field. When you walk past that little area that D-Crown is looking at now, the halt and hook combo, or even just the hook, can be so deadly. Here it comes again.
Waiting for it, don't quite get the catch, and Natsuru-sama is swept around the backside as well. So they instantly pressure all these members out of the fight, getting them super low, but they need to close out, they need to make it count, and they're just not quite finally getting Judo, but Kant being relatively untouched now, drops down, starts raining fire with the catch of Natsuru-sama to convert as well. And it looks like Bazaar might just kind of be out of steam once again, not quite closing out the kills quick enough. They do get a third though, so it's not all for naught.
It's a very important third as well, because now they can sort of work for this time. They can work for the progress, work on that EMP as well, which, by the way, has been kind of charging reasonably slowly, only 50-ish%. Machi are nearly on all of their ultimates now, and they're going to be big ultimates too. Shui can win this fight with only a Riptire if it's a good one.
That's what Bazaar have to be looking out for as well. Shui already kind of setting up the far side of that point, up the stairs. Oh, the hot combo again. Instant D-Mech on Sadistic, and they throw in the Riptire as well. They want to make it a quick closeout. They do get Zobi, but this isn't actually a lot of conversion. Machi are really not out of the woods yet, especially with Shui going down. Kant as well. Ooh, able to get topped up by the Tranquility just in the nick of time. Luckily for them, they are starting to turn the fight around here, Machi. They don't need to commit those extra ultimates, but Bazaar really did make them work for that.
Not enough firepower out of Bazaar, but now maybe they do have it. This could be a very late stagger, though. Time is unfortunately something Bazaar can't afford to lose too much of. They've already lost 2 minutes. They do have that 1/3, but not getting that second tick really hurts. The EMP has to be the big one once again. This has been said a couple times now already in the series, but this is what Bazaar got to rely on because everything else that they have used has not been successful.
Yeah, and Sadistic remacking where he was meant he was kind of unable to retreat. That was really rough. Natsuru-sama, though, looking to get straight in with the EMP. There's the coordination. They dive in with Boom Barappa as the EMP connects, and they instantly convert D-Crown as well. Doesn't matter if you've got that dead eye. You can't use it when you are EMP'd. And that should be the route that they've been looking for this whole time, just trying to convert on these last few. Certainly they're at the point on lockdown. And Judo, doesn't he know it now firsthand? Poked his head out the door and instantly got dropped. That's the point cap for Bazaar.
Late deaths as well for both Shui and Kiyomi is going to allow Bazaar early movement through early health pack hacking. Kant has changed onto the Widowmaker now to try and challenge some of these members. You can sort of mitigate the advantage that Bazaar have with these ultimates if you can land some nice headshots, but so far, Bazaar should continue snowballing.
They absolutely should. Oh, 6 stick from Pichu. The trade back is there, though, so that delays that EMP once again, and it was the tool that they kind of ended up needing to close out point A, so hopefully don't struggle too much without it. The payload has been moving this whole time, though, so that is success for Bazaar.
But it has now kind of just stopped up, and this is where Machi get their defense into action. And so Summer is back, sound barrier's in.
Yeah, as you say that, D-Crown got bionated, and Panties, he saw the opportunity, boosted Boombarappa, who just dived straight in, and the tanks start deconstructing Machi. Very nicely done.
This is exactly what Bazaar were wanting to do, I guess, on their first push. They didn't quite have the momentum there, had to pull back, but now they get to come back with this EMP. They definitely used and executed their ultimates correctly. They got the correct value out of it. Kant has now changed onto his own Sombra, but he's so far behind Natsuda-sama. Bazaar, we've already seen what they can do with the one EMP. They get another good one here. This could be a cap.
Ooh, Natsuda-sama. Ooh, yeah, that did not pay off for him. Unfortunately, they recognized where the translocator was and had Kant in position. The dive was there, and Bazaar just getting really stopped up.
So it's kind of the difficulty, right? Because sometimes when you lose members, there's important members as well, like Natsuda-sama, this, by the way, gives Kant now the opportunity to catch up on charge with a little bit more space. Kant should be able to invis in, translocate out, get that 100%, then directly challenge Natsuda-sama. Whichever Sombra lands the first EMP and maybe catches the other one, Natsuda-sama dies straight away. That's just
yeah,
sad.
Not quite going to happen, and they're too busy fishing for that EMP position. They're not actually taking their time to set up for the fight, and I think Machi as well, after seeing how well it worked on them in point A, and not going to fall prey to the same trick twice. They are keeping many tabs on Natsuda-sama here.
And are we seeing Bazaar already running out of gas very early on in the map as well? Usually this is a little bit later on, but here it comes.
Oh, that's a big throw out from Machi, but they haven't got the conversion, and that gives Bazaar positioning. And the reason they couldn't convert is Kant and Shui got so low so fast, they couldn't follow up. Now Natsuda-sama in with his own, didn't quite get as many targets as he needed, but they've got close out on some of the few that he did connect on. Taking Judo's mech out of the picture, plus the pulse bomb in will allow them to drop down D-Crown, and they're keeping the members alive, also keeping them on the payload. Boombarappa committing the Primal Rage to close out these extra kills, make the space as well for the payload to hopefully push on through. Good closeout on Shui with these two DPSs, and now Judo as well. Late self-destruct in the mix. Probably not going to catch. Oh, does get panties, but don't think that's quite enough to turn this one around for Machi, who are just kind of flooding onto the point one by one now.
At the same time, the Aresia with the Valkyrie can expect the EMP and also the Primal Rage potentially if they really need it. This could be the turnaround play. Now Machi are collecting kills. Bazaar, they do not have the members anymore. The res comes in as well. This is Machi continually flooding back in.
And they've got to reset fast. Natsuda-sama, don't heal him up, just let him die. If he dies too late, it's bad. I mean, he did end up getting out, but that was really dicey for a moment. They've only got about 10 seconds now, and they were not expecting Cat to come in with a second EMP, not respecting the respawns.
And this is going to be the biggest 10 seconds. In fact, 2 seconds remaining now. Someone has a touch. They might not even be able to get there. EMP is nearly, they just got to get Natsuda-sama back in.
Pichu barely got a toe on the point, dives straight up to try and knock out Zombie, who is running around with that Valkyrie out. Natsuda-sama desperately trying to get the EMP ready. Gets it out straight away. Statistic will not be able to commit the self-destruct, but they have got a conversion already on Restia. But with Natsuda-sama low, Pichu out of the picture as well. It's only Boombarappa, and he's running around with the ultimate, not quite able to get enough damage out, and that's just letting Machi pick off the rest of these members. Bazaar not respecting the respawns, not focus firing those last few tanks on the point, ended up costing them dearly.
And at the end as well, the clutch plays by Kant, probably so far looking like the MVP of this defense at the very least, as McCree to start things out with multiple kills in that first defense. Swapping on the Widowmaker wasn't quite effective, but you have to respect the change onto the Sombra. How many EMPs did he get right at the end of the game before Natsuda-sama could get his own ones out, even at the end there? The big EMP by Natsuda-sama, you'd think this is going to be the push where Bazaar get the cap. No, it's not, because Kant had a counter EMP ready to go in the middle of that fight. Didn't get caught by the original one from Natsuda-sama, then completely covered that cap against Bazaar. Machi come in and sweep Bazaar once again on that final defense, and it's a well-deserved full hold onto B, and Kant gave that one to them.
That was a really dramatic cut-off from the guy in the car. As the car sort of respawned back to point A. That was
losing acting jobs to inanimate objects in the future.
That'd be rough. I hope that some don't like it bot, because I don't want to be replaced by a robot. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I do want to sort of bring up the point about Kant coming into Contenders for Season 1 in 2018, because this is a guy that, and he is playing Tracer right now, by the way. He's had some kind of hit and miss on Tracer in OPC last year in 2017. This year, now that we are still in the Sombra meta, currently on the Contenders patch, he's found a really good hero for himself. He's been super effective on the Sombra, and actually even on this Tracer, he's been finding some really clutch plays. Go back to Sanctum. He was one of the guys who got one of the opening picks that gave Sanctum over to Machi. So far, he's been the clutch player here.
Absolutely has. As much as we have kind of been talking about Shui as being a bit of an X factor for this team, Kant has really
Y factor
stepped up. Yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Kant has really stepped up his own game as well, which is exactly what Machi were looking to do in that sort of off-season time. Early catch on Natsuru-sama as well. As we were talking about, Kant, he really proves his salt, and now just diving straight in onto the unfortunately disjointed Bazaar, who are just kind of in disarray, in damage control mode, and they're not quite getting enough. I don't think Kiyomi is, you know, a decent pick, but the rest are getting so well healed up by Restia. Closeouts on the backside as well. Kant does finally go down, but Machi, I think, at the presence on the point for this one for at least a third before Bazaar can re-enter, but I don't even know if they can here.
Well, they got the biggest offender. Kant went down, but the damage has been done. 2 ticks already gone. There's barely any members from Bazaar. Meanwhile, Machi continue flooding onto this cap. Shui continues claiming ultimate percentage. He's going to walk away with this one with the Dragon Blade.
Sadistic died in that pilot form, having just finished charging up the mech as well. That with Bumbarapa could have actually been a re-entry point for them as well, but then they also lost the 2 healers and just had no more legs to go on in that fight.
In previous Bazaar games, and in fact even on this one in the pre-game, you've noted Bumbarapa as someone who dies very early on, but right now it's Natsuru-sama competing with them for that title. Natsuru-sama, especially on the Sombra, has died consistently as the first player so many times.
Getting outflanked a lot as well, so there's, you know, even potentially a bit of positional issues going on there, but at any rate, new fight. Machi just trying to sort of scrap in the high ground, keep the payload moving without losing any members. Oh, as I say it.
Oh, that's a poor member to lose as well. Kant's been pretty good so far, but you got ultimates. Machi should still look to commit if they can.
Yeah, and it is a window for Bazaar to try and get in on the payload, so I do like that Machi recognized that and just pulled out straight away. And look at the ultimates they got ready to go now. They should be able to just cycle those to get into an EMP.
And the problem is, though, they gave Bazaar wiggle room, and with that wiggle room, Natsuru-sama can get himself an EMP provided he doesn't go down early again. That's going to be the caveat here. Shui goes in.
Yeah, and he's got something to say about getting that EMP off with impunity, but they are able to mitigate it. Shui, who not quite going down on the backside of that, is now Machi just trying to get back onto Bazaar in their own right. EMP does go out, but Sadistic reconnects. I think he did not commit the self-destruct in that either, so Machi just kind of running amok here right now, totally dealt with, totally mitigated, and once again, like I said, now cycling into their own EMP should be able to just keep this momentum going.
And one fight as well. Kant started on 0. He just changed to Sombra after the point was already camped. Didn't get much charge in that initial attempt. In fact, he got none because he died as a Tracer to come back as a Sombra. So now, EMP ready in hand. The point is right there. Machi don't have very far to go, but they have so far to go in terms of resources.
Kant, yeah, just looking at the angle. The tanks flood out, and Kant gets the catch. Now just looking to get the conversion, but that's Transcendence making it very hard for them. 1-for-1 right now, but you'd rather take Shui off the board, but not when you lose your second support, because now you're very much up a creek without a paddle, and all this damage just gets unmitigated on the side of Bazaar. Oh, Pichu caught in his own pulse bomb as well, just to add insult to injury. Sadistic didn't find anything with his self-destruction. This is Machi just straight on through, very quick streets phase.
I don't know if this qualifies as the prophecy of Hollywood, but I'd say it's close. It's not a point A hold, but that B was still pretty much in the favor of Machi, and you look at the way Machi handled their attack phase as well. A one attempt team, all things considered, Panties and the rest of his squad and Bazaar took so long to get A. That is why they struggled so hard at B as well. Just didn't have the time available. Then this clean up after Kant had swapped onto the Sombra. Right after that fight, he got himself an EMP. Many Sombras would not have got themselves an EMP right there. And without that EMP, you could consider for Machi, it would have been much more difficult to finish that map. In fact, it might have taken them another fight, maybe 2, maybe 3.
But even then, you've still got to consider that they probably could have got it over the line just because of the time they had at their disposal. We never saw Bazaar gain that same kind of momentum on their own push, and that's actually something that really seems to be costing them quite a lot. They're not able to get the cart underway and then build momentum on the offense. They also seem to be struggling to build that kind of macro game momentum on the defense as well, where they're in a situation where they have EMPs and can just cycle between EMPs and then their other ultimates, then back into an EMP. We are seeing Machi doing that on both the offense and the defense. So, I mean, even if it's only the Sombra that's kind of the edge that Machi have right now, it's been enough of an edge to get them 2-0 up in the series and take it to match point.
Well, it's a big edge, right? Because on the other hand, you look at Bazaar, you look at what they're doing with the Sombra. Sama is getting caught out. He's getting picked up really early. He's falling behind on EMP charge as well. He's making risky plays. Some of them have been very good. Some of them have given Bazaar some good caps and good points, but not enough in terms of mileage. And now we got to go back to the original conversation. Bazaar now 2 maps out of 2 in the series show that they can have a decent start, show that they can have even a good mid game, but they cannot close it out. Somewhere in the middle there, they run out of gas so very, very quickly. The puzzle pieces are there. Now they've got to put it together. Let's see if they can do that when we come back from the break. Bazaar will continue against Machi Esports. Who's going to come out on top? Find out after this.